Board members, at this time we're going to call on Dr. Penny Reddell to present the 2009-10 Academic Excellence Indicator System report. I think you'll be very pleased, as we are. It shows it's a really good indicator of how well the district's doing. There's a lot of data, and we want Dr. Reddell to show us exactly how well we shine. Dr. Reddell?
Thank you, Dr. Roy. Madam President and board members, it is our joy to share with you the success of the 2009-2010 school year. This is the public report. It is required by law. First of all, we are a recognized district for the second year in a row. And the first item, the first information that we'll talk about is tax performance data. So we are a recognized district, and we received gold performance acknowledgments as a district for attendance, for AP results, that would be advanced placement. Our district does not have IB, which would be International Baccalaureate programs, for college-ready graduates, and for commended on social studies. And you'll notice that the first three, say 2008 to 2009, these items are always reported 1 year behind the year of the tax data, because it takes that long to get all of the information back. In Reading English Language Arts, you have 2 columns of Met Standard information and 2 columns of commended performance information. The first column for each is 2009, the second column is 2010. When you look down the Met Standard column for 2010, you'll notice that all of the scores rank in the exemplary area except economically disadvantaged, and that score is written in red to note that it is not yet exemplary, but it will be. Then if you look at our commended performance, you'll see that we have some ups and some downs in our commended performance. It still remains high. In Met Standard, 5 of 5 student groups scores increased. For mathematics, you will notice that again, 5 of 5 student group scores increased. We have 3 scores still in the recognized area. We're headed toward exemplary for them as well. In writing, you'll notice for 2010 that all of our scores are in the exemplary area, and we met, in Met Standard, 3 of 5 student groups scores increased. The other 2 groups remained constant at 93% and 97% respectively. If you have to stay somewhere, the 90s would be the place we want to be. In social studies, 4 of 5 student groups increased in Met Standard, and 1 area remained constant at 99%. I know, what can you say, right? Again, our commended scores increased in this area. And in science, the pièce de résistance, because science is what is so difficult for everybody across the state, we are extremely proud to have made significant progress. The district had 92% for all students, African American 82%, up from 76. Hispanic students 81%, up from 74%. White 96%, up from 93. And economically disadvantaged 79%, up from 71%. The state applied required improvement to our scores, and so that 79 was counted as a recognized score. So this year we received a recognized rating through required improvement, and we'll talk a bit about the 3 ways that the states can alter ratings. Had we made 80%, we would have been deemed an exemplary district by the state of Texas. And we were 20 economically disadvantaged science test takers away from that exemplary rating. We could smell it.
Next year.
Absolutely. We're all over it. We've been working since the day we finished the test for this year's scores. So in summary, all reading, math, writing, social studies, and science scores increased from 2009 to 2010, except the ones that remained constant. Writing, African American at 93%, white students at 97%, social studies, white students at 99%. We had notable increases. In reading, English language arts, our African American students went from 90 to 93%, Hispanic students moved from 86 to 90%, economically disadvantaged students moved from 84% to 88%. And in writing, Hispanic students moved from 92 to 95%, and economically disadvantaged from 90 to 93%. We're on a tear. We had notable increases as well in math for African American, Hispanic, and economically disadvantaged students, 83 to 85, 83 to 87, 81 to 85. And in science, every single group had increases, and they are significant. 88 to 92, 76 to 82, 74 to 81, 93 to 96. And the one we killed ourselves for all year long, ask every campus, 71 to 79% for economically disadvantaged science test takers. I would like to tell you it is a huge testament to the principals, to the teachers, and to the folks all across the district who support them that these scores have increased so much. Notable increases in social studies, Hispanic 92 to 95, and economically disadvantaged 91 to 94%. Now there are three ways that you will remember we can achieve a higher rating according to Texas Education Agency. The first is called required improvement, and that's when you have made enough improvement since the prior year that you could meet the standard of the next rating level within 2 years. And so we could have, because we made so much progress in science, that required improvement was applied. And if we're going to have our rating raised by something, required improvement is the way I would want it. Now, frankly, just give me in the fence post. I want straight up exemplary, and you do too. And everyone behind me and beside me does as well. But if you're going to have it, this would be the way to have it with an enhancement. Last year, we received recognized rating because of Texas projection measure. And in this process, they estimate the students who have made so much progress that by the next year they would be considered to be most likely meeting standard on the test. And so you are credited then with those students. And I'll show you in a few minutes both how the campuses benefited or didn't benefit from this and from exceptions. And then also how it applied to the district. Exceptions would be kind of like a King's X, where you would have a score that simply would not count. And if you had not used that score before, not used that subject and that particular population within the subject, then that score would not count against you, so you could have a higher rating. So then let's look at the impact of Texas projection measure on our ratings. And remember, these are automatically applied. This is not something that we can say, well, yes, we'd like to use it, or no, we would prefer not to use it. This is somewhat difficult to read, and for that I apologize. But when you look at the red area, that is the amount that Texas projection measure would add to the scores we actually attained. The scores that I gave you in the charts a few minutes ago are the scores we actually received. They are not the Texas projection measure scores. And so you can see, for instance, in English language arts, you would have an increase of 2 points, 7 points, 4 points, 6 points, and 1 point. But we're not counting that because we didn't actually achieve it. So you can see the small differences that Texas projection measure would have made for us. For our campus ratings, you'll note between 2009 and 2010, we increased by 5 exemplary campuses, 1 recognized campus, and we decreased by 6 campuses who are academically acceptable. What I'm going to show you next is the category of schools by high school first, then middle schools, and then elementary school. And you'll notice in the first column what the campus received without any assistance at all, without Texas projection measure or required improvement or exceptions. Then in the second column, you'll notice what the state actually has ranked the campus. And in the third column, if there was a change, you'll see the reason. So the first campus, for instance, the Colony High School, was originally rated acceptable, and the state applied both required improvement and Texas projection measure to get them to recognized. So that will be the pattern of all of the slides. These are the middle school campuses. And you will see the campuses in red have no change between what they earned and what the state applied to them. Then our elementary campuses. You can see easily where there are changes. And on these are all written in blue, but you'll notice that they all achieved, recognized, and were credited with exemplary, and why. And then these campuses all attained, as our friends in HEB like to say, they attained exemplary straight up. The next piece of data has to do with our 4-year graduation rate, our completion rate, and our annual dropout rate. And the annual dropout for this purpose, the one I'm showing you, is for 9th through 12th grade. The main idea, this is a very dense slide, and I apologize for that. It has a lot of information on it. The main idea in our 4-year completion rate, we increased in 4 of 5 student groups. Our completion rate, which includes 5th-year seniors. Then we increased in 2 of 5 groups, and our annual dropout rate decreased in 3 of 5 groups. And of course, we want that dropout rate to decrease, and we want the other rates to increase. For our college and career readiness data, we have some excellent information. Our average SAT scores and average ACT scores continue to improve. You see a 3-year trend here. And in our college and career readiness, we have 22 of 24 measures increasing. So we're increasing every year. And all of our scores from this year were higher than the scores, all the scores from 2009 were higher than the scores from 2008. And remember, this data is 1 year behind. In looking at our PSAT mean scores, we have a lot of success here as well. From 2008 to 2009, 5 of 6 measures increased, and from 2009 to 2009-10, 4 of 6 measures increased. In advanced placement, there are 2 things that we're really pushing for. One is increased participation in courses by all of our student groups. And the other is the percentage of students who attain a score of 3 or higher, because that's the point at which students may attain college credit. And so you'll notice in our participation, we increased in 2 of 4 groups. We're particularly pushing African American and Hispanic increased participation. Because if you remember at our school board annual strategic planning meeting, we talked with you about we want very much to increase our students who are taking the course as well as students who are taking the tests. So we are seeing progress there. And for students who made a 3 or higher, we had 2 of 4 groups increase as well. We have one item that is a 2011 preview indicator. It wasn't counted this year, but they gave us information so that they would know, so that we would know for next year what to expect. This is the English language learner progress. And so they gave us data for 2008-9 and 2009-10. And our English language learners progressed in all 5 groups from year to year. We have areas of concentration or areas of initiative for our district. The first is continuous curriculum improvement and implementation. The second is differentiated instruction, which means that we adjust the lessons to meet the students where they are so that all students learn deeply at high levels. And we use research-based instructional strategies. We have a profound amount of professional development, and we use professional learning communities as ways to work with our teachers so that they are making the decisions about how to increase student learning. And we use response to intervention to intervene for students who are having difficulties. And after all those numbers, and that was a lot of numbers, the bottom line is this: we are increasing every single day on purpose in how our students are learning, how well they are learning, because we believe that we, the education system, create preferred futures for children who don't yet understand each of their talents. What questions would you like to ask? Thank you.
I do have one question. Have you heard if they're going to use the TPM this year? When it came out, it looked like there was a lot of flack and they weren't sure if they were going to continue. Has the commissioner made a decision yet?
They've quit talking about it at all. The last time we heard, they were thinking, maybe yes, but now they're spending all of their time creating STAR. And so STAR is the new test that's coming, and it will be administered for next year. So they are thinking about a whole different way of gauging us. And they haven't made up their mind exactly what that is yet. So we're telling principals everything we know at this point, and then we are working to make sure that the curriculum matches the rigor of what students need to know, understand, and be able to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board members, just a moment of privilege. I want to brag on this group of Penny and her staff and our teachers, our principals. But, in 2001, Brad, I believe that at-risk population or economically disadvantaged population was about 10%. All right? And now that was 10% of 35,000 kids. Now it's 27%.
We've been as high as 30, but it's leveled off about 27.
27% of 51,000 kids. So that's been a pretty steep hill, and they have, there's been a lot of really tremendous work has been done, and all of you, let's appreciate them.